John Keim, covers the Commanders for ESPN.com. And, John, let's start with that last drive by the Cowboys at the end of the half.
Oof.
So the Commanders close the score to 20-15. It's a one-score game. There's not much time left in the half. There's less than a minute. They actually get a sack on first down. Von Miller and Jacob Martin combined for a sack. It's their only sack of the game. And then you have the pass to Pickens, the 33-yard run, and next thing you know, the Cowboys have a commanding lead at the end of the half. Can you explain what's happening defensively for this team and how that drive kind of capsulizes it?
No, I can't. How is that? Yes, I think so. Obviously, the big plays are an issue. And on that particular one, with the part that I don't know, we talked to Marshawn Lattimore for a couple minutes afterwards, but asked Joe Witt on when we talked to him later this week. What I don't get in that situation is why is Lattimore up basically in press against Pickens? Now, the other side, everybody else, the other DBs were in zone, so I do believe that he was in a zone coverage, but why are you up? You're inviting that play. And that's the part that to me didn't make sense. And I don't know, I don't have an answer for that, but those are the plays that keep happening. And as soon as you see, if you're Dak Prescott, as soon as you see him up like that, even if it's like it's quarters, whatever it is, you're going to attack that. Mm-hmm. And, and that's what happened. And then on the run, I think, to be honest, I think part of that was like they hit him fast after that. I think some of those D linemen were tired. I think they thought they might pass, but looked like some of them were a little bit gassed after that, and it just led to a big gap. And you had the lineman who didn't have to stay on his double team because of that, and gets to a defensive back and clears open a hole, and it's boom. So but that's the stuff that keeps happening, and that's the stuff that becomes inexplicable.
They shouldn't have been gassed on the third play of the drive after the Commanders put together a long drive.
Right. Well, it shouldn't be, but you're sprinting down there. They're going to go fast. Yeah. And you know what I mean? So it's not an excuse. It's just like when you see it, you see some guys who just they stand up, not stand up like they're done, but they're not rushing the same way. Mm-hmm. And so that's how it appeared to look, because it wasn't the same. And I don't know, but yeah, it's just, like I said, it keeps happening. That's what we know. It just keeps happening. And after a while, they don't have answers either.
JK, we've been taking calls from fans, and they're not killing Lattimore as much as we are. The pass interference, you got to turn your head and make a play on the ball. I thought the other play to Pickens, that was just a perfectly thrown ball.
It was a great ball.
And I think any corner would get beat on that. But overall, I'm sure his grade will be bad. But why is he out on an island against Pickens? Why aren't they helping him more on the backside?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So,
what are they doing?
In that situation, everybody else is in zone. So I don't know why he was up. And on the other side, Amos is playing either looks like a quarters or cover 4 type alignment, and the safeties appeared to be like quarters and quarters. So that's the part I don't get. Either he was in man and they're all in zone, but if that's the case, I don't get why there wasn't help. I have the same question. I don't know. And you're right, it was a very good ball. And sometimes, even with the turning and looking for the ball, not everybody is taught to do it that way. Not every corner wants to do it that way, because when you turn like that, you
lose track of your guy.
Yeah. You lose track of your guy. You lose track of where you're at.
I hate that rule, to be honest with you. Right. Why do they have that?
Yeah, and with the running into him, I mean, there's sometimes it's a ridiculous call, and sometimes it's okay. They missed one. The one against Robbie Chosen, they still scored on that, but still. But the point is, not everybody's comfortable, so you're taught to then either play through the hands, right? But on that last one, again, that was a very, very good throw by him. So it took a great throw to beat it. But I still say, you're inviting that throw by your alignment. And that's the part I don't have an answer for, because everybody else was in zone, and it wasn't like there was safety help to that play because of that.
John, have they been beaten in the trenches the last 2 weeks?
I mean, yes. I think you kind of look at the areas where they have been, offensively, they were running the ball okay early on. And then, the problem is teams are the last 2 weeks. It's a lot more heavier boxes than normal. I mean, Dallas played way more man covers than they have all season, way more. And because you can stack the box, it's not always 8-man boxes, but you're getting 7-man boxes against these alignments are going to be a lot. And so, you know, sometimes it's the alignment. Sometimes it's like, yes, you're getting beat up front. I think defensively, then it's like, where are you getting beat? And that's the part, like, even I haven't been able to rewatch the D-line yet from yesterday, but we know that there's some troubles on the edge because they're down Dietrich Wise, Baptiste, and obviously Dorrance Armstrong too. So, like, it just leads, that attrition adds up. And, you know, I'm not trying to make an excuse for them at all because, as they always point out, and we watched the team last night, San Francisco, that keeps winning without their starting quarterback. And so it's not an excuse. It's just like there is an attrition, and maybe the depth wasn't there the way you needed it to be. So, yeah,
John,
there's certainly a change.
Aside from losing Payne or Kinlaw in the middle, I think Armstrong is the guy they can least afford to lose because he's providing the bulk of the pass rush. I mean, if he's out for more than a week or two, that's a devastating injury.
It is, and it's another one that they have to deal with. But yes, I mean, he's been very good. He was a guy this summer that I thought would have a good year, a very good year, because just what you saw and the way they were moving him around and how comfortable he looked, and he was quicker off the ball than the others, and so and he can help set that edge. So yes, that's a definite loss, and they're running out of bodies there, man.
Yeah, well, all right, let's get to the big one. JD goes out, didn't look good when he was on the ground holding the leg, limped off, went to the tent, and then, you know, he's jogging around a little bit. Didn't look like, and you reported he was not limping in the locker room, but hamstrings are no joke. They're not going to mess around. What's your thought on that?
So he'll get the MRI today. We know he wanted to go back in. Dan Quinn said that. And again, like, you know, even Jalen Lane said when we were talking to him after that, you know, he looked good basically walking around the locker room. But what that means, I don't know. If you've ever had a hamstring, you can still walk. It's just, you know, do you feel something? Because if you do, then it's going to be tough to play. But we'll know. I'd say we know more later today, but I don't know that we will, because we always say that. And then it's like, Wednesday, we'll get an update Wednesday. Then on Wednesday, we'll get an update Friday. So I don't, you know, but I think it certainly sounds like there's a chance. And here's another thing too, like after the game, the quarterbacks always talk. And he was going to talk to the media, which would be a good sign for somebody in this situation. But then they kind of nixed that. And I think my guess would be because, like, you don't want to go up there and say something without knowing really what's going on with your hamstring. So that, you know, so he'll have that MRI today, and we'll hopefully know a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a situation where he's going to feel one way, and the MRI, though, may indicate a little more than how he feels, and it's going to be in the exact same boat he was in a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, very well could be. And you're right, though, with the hamstrings, you need to be careful because those are things that can keep you out. Totally. If you come back in and you do it, like you could do a lot worse, and then you're out a lot longer, and you know everything changes. So yeah, you have to be very careful with those.
I don't know. It just getting back to the defense. If you were John Keim, you were the defensive coordinator, what changes would you make? Honestly.
Oh, geez.
Where do you start?
Well, that's the thing is, like, where do you start and who do you change? Like, if you're talking personnel.
Well, you play Jordan McGee more, maybe. Bobby Wagner, not as much. I know everyone loves him, but.
Yeah. Well, listen, Jordan McGee is a guy that I would love to see more of because, you know, just he plays with some speed and energy. Like, we've seen him in glimpses. So how would it look like along the game? But I know what Bobby Wagner adds, and so it is a tough one there, right? And we know what he doesn't do as well anymore. But I think at some point, I think you're going to want to see more of McGee. I don't know, like, in terms of, like, other guys at corner, I don't know that you do anything there because with what?
Right. They're not going to bench Lattimore. They're not going to bench him. And I don't think they should. But I will say, like, the trade that you made was for games like that, for talent like that. But you know, he was coming off 2 really good games, and so you have to, you know,
I don't say balance that, but like these are the games. So who's going to go in there and do better? It's just, is that going to, I'm sure that'll satisfy fans because they want, heads on a platter, and I don't blame them for the frustration, man. It's for a fan, like I would be extremely frustrated right now with a lot of things because the injuries just keep mounting up and they're not playing well. And, you can have injuries, but you don't have to commit 11 penalties either. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but I don't know. Cause like they're already playing backups on that defensive line. I mean, that's the problem. Do you play? I think it's more, can you switch up a little bit? And they played a lot of they were playing heavy man early in the year, and it's less now. But do you maybe do even less of that because maybe you can't play that press man style that you wanted to more of, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the tough part is what do you do? Where do you go?
John, we only have a minute left. You're a guy who is in the room every time for pressers. Dan Quinn almost seems shell-shocked. He talked about being surprised at where they are right now. Can you kind of describe what you're seeing from Coach Quinn?
Yesterday was, and Nikki Javala said this too, and I agree with her that was as upset or frustrated as we've seen him for sure. And now part of that is like we haven't seen a lot of these kind of games. We haven't seen, last year everything went well and they had a 3-game losing streak, but they were 7-2 going into it. But yesterday I think there was, a definite, shell-shocked or maybe more just upset, very upset. And I think I'll be curious to see how that plays out this week. He's not a guy that's going to go in there and just scream and rip heads apart, right? Like you don't change who you are, but can you lock in a little bit better? Maybe, I don't know. But that was as upset as I've seen him. And because he was asked, are you surprised where you're at? He was very stern and very quick. Yes, very. And then I even asked him about the, end of the half stuff. And he goes, words don't explain it. I was hot. And the look on his face just kind of told you all you need to know. And I think there are a lot of guys, and Jeremy Reeves one, who are, pissed off, upset. And you can use the word embarrassed too, because that's a lot of what happened yesterday as well. So yeah, very upset.
All right, John, always appreciate the insight. That's John Keim, covers the Commanders for ESPN.com. Thanks, pal.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy.
All right, buddy.
Coming up next, we will continue to tackle the Commanders' latest loss. They get embarrassed by the Dallas Cowboys to fall to 3-4. How can they fix the season? What changes would you make to fix the season? 1-800-636-1067. We're the Junkies on the Fan.